Washington correspondent Kedevan Gorgeous-Stani. Kedevan, thank you very much for joining us live on the program. What exactly has prompted this decision by the Trump administration?
Well, it's something that's been brewing for a little bit now, and it's something that Donald Trump has been very eager to do. Now, as you said, this Open Skies Treaty really brings in more than 30 states, but the real problem is between the United States and Russia. And so initially, this was something that was supposed to be some sort of mutual observation treaty, but the U.S. says that Russia has violated this treaty and the terms of this treaty in several different ways. One is that the U.S. says that Russia has prevented other member states from flying over certain areas of the Russian territory, including the exclave of Kaliningrad, which is located between Poland and the Baltic states. So it is the landmass, the Russian landmass closest to Europe, and that's something that the Americans are not too happy about. Russia also preventing some flights over certain areas at certain moments, saying that there were military exercises there, and so they didn't want any member state flying over that area. And the Americans are also accusing Russia of using their own flights over the U.S. to sort of map out some key infrastructure in the U.S. to use it as potential future targets for cyber attacks. So really, there's some form of distrust between the Americans and the Russian, and that's what has prompted Donald Trump to want to pull out of this Open Skies Treaty. He said just earlier today, before heading out to Michigan, that really pointing to Russia, saying they have violated the pact, they are not adhering to the pact, and until they do that, we will pull out of this Open Skies Treaty.
And of course, Kedevan, even though this announcement might be somewhat surprising, the fact that the United States is pulling out of an international agreement is just a continuation of what we've seen during this Trump presidency, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the third major international treaty that is linked to arms control that the U.S. is pulling out of. There was, of course, the Iran nuclear deal just a couple of years ago. Last year, it was the mid-range, intermediate range nuclear weapons treaty. And there might be another one coming soon, another one that really puts Russia and the U.S. in a treaty bilaterally. It's the New START treaty, which is supposed to limit the deployed nuclear missiles of both countries at 1,550 for each country. The U.S. really wanting to pull out of that one too, and it seems like Donald Trump is gearing up to let that New START treaty expire. It will be expiring just a few weeks after the next presidential inauguration here in the U.S., which is set for the month of January. So we could have yet another agreement that the U.S. pulls out of. What has to be said is that this is something that Donald Trump has been doing over the past few years, not just in arms treaties, but in all these international agreements, basically saying they're not good for the U.S. The U.S. has been shortchanged. I'm going to tear up this agreement, and I'm going to replace it with something that is good for the United States. And that's what he wants to do again with Russia and with these arms treaties. He said it earlier today. He said that there's a great chance that there will be a new deal with Russia. And maybe this time, and that's his real goal, is to get China to come into that treaty. And that's what he wants to work on.
Our correspondent in Washington, Kedevan Gorgeous-Stani.